Let's look up here and talk about a little bit about our Mayor Lawrence E. Horner, whom we all call Larry. He is of course married to Betty Horner. We know that. In fact, I know several people in this room have mentioned that Betty's just as important, in fact maybe just a tad more important in some cases than Larry is. Lots of claps from the head table, so that means something, Larry. He was educated at Indiana University, where he received a BS and MS degree. He studied at the University of Maryland. He studied in Heidelberg, Germany, Brookings Institute, Washington, D.C., UCLA. He is, of course, in off hours, in his odd moments, Vice President for Northrop Corporation, the Ventura unit. I chatted with him about how he managed to do that and do the city involvement too. City involvement is very, very extensive because he has been involved with this community for many, many years. I'm not going to go through every single thing that he has done, but just it covers the whole entire countryside. Virtually anything that's gone on, he's been involved in it. He has been mayor of the city 4 times. In terms of community involvement, besides the city involvement, he's a member of the Conejo Valley Historical Society, California Lutheran University Community Leaders Club, Conejo Valley and Westlake Chambers of Commerce, Conejo Future Foundation, Westlake Joint Board of Homeowners Association, Foxmoor Homeowners Association, Westlake Athletic Association, Arts Council, and many, many other types of community activities. Before he gets up there, you know, almost all of us that have a role in a business or in a community don't stand alone. We have secretaries that actually keep us out of a great deal of trouble. We didn't recognize, but I would like to recognize Jane Grady and Marion Perkins. Jane is with the city and Marion is with Northrop, and they're really the ones who get all this work done. Stand up, stand up. Yes. Larry, now that we have upstaged you, I'd like you to come up and present us with information about the state of the city. Mayor Lawrence Horner.
Thank you, Carol. It's been a nice luncheon and nice meeting everybody, and meeting's adjourned. That's the way people would like to see us run city council meetings, I think, but unfortunately we have a little bit more to do than that, and it's just a tad more. I'd like to just indicate to everybody that it's definitely a distinct pleasure for me to be here this afternoon and bring to you the state of the city as we see it today, and certainly would like to thank the Chamber for hosting this occasion again. This is the 5th time in my political career that I've had the opportunity to present the state of the city to this august group, and I want to express my sincere thanks for the Chamber's continued support of this event, and today and in prior years. Some of you probably that have been around here a lot longer than some of you others wonder, well, she said 4 years as 4 times up as mayor, but 5 times making a presentation on the state of the city message. And I'll tell you just a bit about how that occurred. A few years ago, I was in my office, and it was about 9:30 or 9:45, and I got a call from the city, and they said that, and I was vice mayor at the time, they said that we just received a communication from Mayor Laxdal that he's unable to be able to give the State of the City message today, and that we're sending over his speech. And you're on for lunch to give the State of the City. So that's how that 5th time came in there. What I started to do was send my speech to Lee Laxdal and tell him it's time to come back from that dusty hot place he's at and come back and pinch hit for me so he can tell us about all of his new experiences. But that's rather impossible too. So I do want to thank you again for coming, and especially the Chamber for putting this event on. As the city concludes its 25th anniversary, in which we've all had a real good time with over the past few months, one theme has dominated our celebration, and that is quality services for a quality community. City manager and I talked about that as a theme early on, and he said, I think it would be very appropriate for us to indicate that this is a quality city, and the quality theme, since you're a vice president of quality, that would be very appropriate. And I said, well, I think my job sponsors would enjoy that, so it might take the heat off of it a little bit when I have to spend a lot of time in dealing with some of the affairs of state. So we chose that as a very wise suggestion from Mr. Brimhall, and I think that was very appropriate. Over the last quarter of a century, Thousand Oaks citizens have created a very high-quality community and a very outstanding approach to the future as it faces us, and we can all take pride in this accomplishment. It is not any single body, any single entity that's responsible for all this at all. As a matter of fact, the number of the services that were started some years ago when Vice Mayor Fiore was having been a pioneer on the City Council for all these years, was involved in the formation of many of the things that are taking place and coming online today. It just so happens that this year has been one where we've had the stack up of many of these events that have occurred. Many of the capital services and improvements have come in and online within the last few months. And so we're very pleased that they did come in at the time that they did, and certainly I'm very pleased with having the opportunity of being able to announce some of those events. From the days of incorporation, the citizens had specific community goals in mind. Preserved open space, spacious parks, well-planned residential areas, attractive business, corporate and industrial sites, and modern medical facilities, educational institutions, and shopping malls. All those things were recognized and realized as being very necessary and very essential for a city to be as great as the city that we wanted this city to be. And certainly we recognize very highly that in order for us to be able to achieve many of these goals, that we had to have a very healthy business climate in the community in order to pay for these, because our goal was to do these things without invoking city property tax, pay as you go, and have enough revenue to be able to pay for those things that we want over time. And the theory was that if we don't have the money, we don't need it, and we'll have to wait until we get the money or make some adjustment or provide some service that will provide us revenue in order to be able to enjoy those services over time. Today, our balanced community, as it's envisioned by our general plan, that those policies that were wisely developed have been executed, I think, in my view, in a very excellent manner. Our community needs are being met. There have been new policies instituted along the way as we found it necessary to make adjustments. And during this quarter of a century, a sturdy framework of capital improvement programs was established to ensure that the citizens' needs were fulfilled and met over time. Just looking back at a few of those without dwelling on the details of each and every one of them, just a couple of weeks ago we opened up our new teen center, which is the work of many people involved, many council members and many community leaders. This was a very successful and very beautiful project that we were pleased to announce just a couple of weeks ago at a cost of $2.4 million. Looking at the next major improvement that we've made, our modern sheriff's facility. As I indicated some time back, the Sheriff's Department was suffering tremendously with a lack of ample facilities, at the same time meeting the demands of the City Council to provide us with a quality police force and one to keep our community with a very low crime rate and a safe place for all of us to live and enjoy and raise our children. I'm happy to announce that our $14 million facility was a joint venture between the city and Ventura County. There are now about 100 persons assigned to that facility just for Thousand Oaks, with 46 vehicles to service our needs. I'd like to state that because many people don't recognize, especially a lot of the new people, just what kind of police service that we do have. So when you look at a city of 100,000 people and you have a sheriff's force of 100 personnel and 46 vehicles at our disposal, that's quite a service. We don't go advertising and broadcasting all the little things that they do because of various security reasons and the like. But they're there, your tax dollars are being allocated for that particular purpose, and they're taking very good care of us. Our police department has the distinction at the present time, and certainly the backing of the City Council of being very proactive to keep this a very safe place to live. We realize the threat of the things that are going on in the highly urbanized cities. We're just not going to tolerate that here, and we're going to provide the resources necessary so we can reassure you on a continuous basis that we will not allow ourselves to become place ourselves in a situation that many of the urban cities have allowed themselves to become placed in through what I consider lack of wisdom, and certainly resources and all that goes with that. But we're Johnny on the spot with that, and we're very, very serious in that regard. So anybody that has the feeling that they're going to come out here and they're going to get a foothold like they have in some of these other areas, have another thought coming, they're going to end up in the slammer, and we're just not going to tolerate it. And so we want you to all to know that. We don't like to look back at the mistakes. We like to prevent things that could conceivably happen in the future, and that's what your elected officials are committed to do. With our crime prevention programs and the Neighborhood Watch, with your support of the Sheriff's Department and the programs that they have in the Neighborhood Watch program and the DARE program, I think we will be very successful in achieving our objective there. I'd like to simply state at this time that the League of California Cities, which was canceled unfortunately as a result of the earthquake, they took a survey. And one of the things that was the top priority among 39 issues that were slated for discussion at the conference that was scheduled, which has been rescheduled, I understand, to December, was they want the drug problem solved. And that's the political force, that's the staff force, and that's the people's desire. The other thing that they said that they needed is ways in which to generate the proper amount of revenue to be able to provide the services along those lines. So those were the first and second priorities amongst the large segment of the cities taken in that survey. And that's an interesting thing, because when you look at other surveys that are taken, sometimes they don't reflect those things to that degree. But I consider those two things essential. If you read the newspapers every day, you watch television, you hear the radio, you know that the ever perplexing problem that's facing most of the cities today are the people that are not interested in living in a society where we have respect for law and order and things like that. Whatever the reason, whether it's social, economic, or what, the problem is there, and we have to deal with it in the best way we know how. And sometimes that requires us to be a little bit more militant in terms of our approaches and punitive, but that's the way it is, and that's the way we're going to address it. The city has made a firm commitment to make sure that our infrastructure is one that we can all be proud of. When you look at many cities around the state, some out of the state, and you go around, you see potholes everywhere, you see streets that are in a sad state of disrepair, and first one thing then the other. That's not our policy here in the city of Thousand Oaks at all. We're not perfect, and all of our streets are not exactly perfect from the standpoint of as they were when they were first built or constructed, but we certainly have a very bullish and aggressive infrastructure maintenance program for our streets. And our Public Works Department and our capital improvement programs are doing everything we possibly can to maintain the streets in a proper fashion that you can be comfortable with, but the beautification of the streets and the streets surrounding. Classic examples of the Hampshire Road entryway. Nearly $500,000 was spent and invested in the landscaping of that area to give the people the right impression and the right image when they enter the city of Thousand Oaks. And I think we've gotten an awful lot of very favorable comments. We've had some non-favorable comments too, but that's fine. That's what makes our city great, because we are interested in hearing the criticisms as well as the praise, because we're not beyond being criticized. Although many people think that we certainly are not. But we like the criticisms to be constructive, because we're following the dictates, the demands of the people based on their daily inputs and also their survey inputs and the like that we take on a periodic basis. Nearly $3 million was spent last year in the overlay and the slurry seal that goes on the surface of the streets. And of course there's a periodic maintenance schedule that we work to on those. Hillcrest Drive from Irvs to Skyline Drive widening cost us $2.3 million. And the handicap ramps that are now located at 36 locations throughout the city, we spent $60,000, and we still have a long way to go. There are people that don't feel that we're doing enough in that area, and I guess where do you draw the line? There's cities can never do enough for its residents. But there is a limiting factor in terms of time and money that has to be considered. And when you compare us with other cities and the things that we rally to the cause to do, I think we're standing way at the top, and we will continue to do so. There was a completion of a 3.9 million gallon La Granada reservoir located near Hillcrest Drive and the Canale School Road. And we're very pleased with that, because it represents another significant milestone completed in many of the commitments that were made in the earlier years. A $15 million project, phase one of the Hill Canyon wastewater treatment plant expansion program, finished on time and within budget. To those people that have a very deep concern about our disposition of the effluent, with the growth and the progress that is being made in the development in the residential areas, that's all part of our planning process and has been planned for 15 to 20 years in the arrears. The projections that we make on the basis of residents and residential dwellings and the number of residents here are all based on something. These things aren't pulled out of the thin air. We just don't inadvertently do things. There has to be a baseline that we operate from, and that's probably one of the most difficult things for new people to realize in the community, that that's how we operate here. It is not something that's done by the seat of the pants. The $2 million Kelly Estates Assessment project was approved and has been constructed, providing water, wastewater, and street infrastructure improvements, which is another very wise investment in expenditure of your tax dollars. There are additional projects that are still underway. Our Senior Adult Center, designed to replace the older Goebel Center, met with disaster not too long ago. That was a sad day in all of our lives, because that $3.7 million facility was nearly 70% complete when the building was destroyed by a fire last March, and our rebuild activities currently underway, and if our current plan and our schedule holds, which we hope it will, we'll be ready to open that building by this time next year. Libraries rank very high on the priority list over the last 2 or 3 surveys of the community. We are pleased to indicate that the new branch library in Newbury Park opened approximately 2 months ago as the first branch library facility, and we took that over from the county. It's located in Newbury Park. We will, however, by fall of 1990, open a new branch in a building that was formerly a grocery store over in the Michael Drive and Barcher Road shopping center, and that'll consist of nearly 16,000 square feet, and it will have house a collection of approximately 20,000 items. That's fairly large. A more recent thing that came before us is a development of a forestry master plan for the city, which is presently underway. We received a $37,000 grant for tree plantings and getting into landscaping programs that will enhance and beautify the area even more than we already have committed to do, which is a new twist and it's a new ingredient, and we'll certainly enjoy the benefits of that very shortly. The Jungle Land Complex, which is now one that will house city government and other offices, as well as a civic auditorium and a future conference center on that 5-acre site, is moving along as scheduled. The complex, when it's complete, will be the final piece in the community concept first set out in the general plan some 20 years ago. So that's moving along. We had a lot of public hearings on that. There are a lot of inputs, both pro and con, which we want, and that was what the committee decided to do, so that it will all get aired properly and that everybody will have their turn in the barrel at making their comments known, and certainly their concerns clarified by the committee and the community and the council body as a whole. We're coming along with it. We're not holding back on it at all, in spite of some circumstances that are a little bit beyond our control, and we're confident that it'll all work out very fine. I'd like to provide some additional reassurances to the community as a whole about our financial situation. We hear an awful lot about the city's budget and how taxed we are with all these capital projects, and our spending patterns and our spending habits and things like that. And how can you handle all this? Well, the reason why we are able to handle all this is because we've been very prudent. I said earlier that our concept from the very beginning in this community is pay as you go. And when you pay as you go, you're able to put aside money and you're able to appropriate money for future activities that you know that you want. And when you have the total resources and the ability to finance some of these things, then you can move right ahead. And it might look like that we've strapped ourselves from a cash flow standpoint, but we actually have not. We've just been prudent. And I guess if we have to be criticized for being prudent, criticize us forever, and we love that. Okay. So our very conservative fiscal policy has been in effect since the incorporation, and as a result of that, we now enjoy an annual operating budget of about $55 million, and I think that we have become a major business entity as a result of that, and we're doing very fine in that regard. Now, there are many other aspects to that. Our resources are fairly broad, but we're handling those things just as prudently as we've handled some of those matters when our sources were not quite as broad. Our investment and maintenance monthly average monthly portfolio is $48 million, and accurate cash management. And these dollars have been saved over the past 25 years, as I indicated earlier, and allow us to be able to do some of the things we're doing now. The citizens have paid approximately $70 million in property taxes. And beginning this year, Thousand Oaks will receive about $700,000 of these taxes for general operating purposes. So there's additional revenue coming in that adds to our coffers, and we certainly are bankrolling these things with these kinds of increases in our revenue acquisitions. $50 million proceeds from bonds on the capital projects under which debt service is covered by projected future revenues to the city's general fund is another way in which we have leveraged our local revenue properly. There's a $15 million Melrose bond assurance for financing the Lang Ranch development, which is another very interesting concept of financing that just came into existence not too terribly long ago. And we were bullish and bold and took some risk, The risks were not terribly great, but there was some risk. And this is coming into fruition, and I think we made a very good, wise, and sound decision there. A stable tax base which generates approximately $11 million a year for general operating purposes. And where's Barbara Tusher's back there? I saw her a few minutes ago. It's kind of interesting. Goes back to 1978 when we hired our city manager, Grant Brimhall, from his former city, Glendora. And we interviewed several people. And one of the individuals that we interviewed was breathing heavy. He wanted the job terribly bad because he said, how could one not want to come and be a city manager in this city with that gold mine sitting over there, revenue for operating expenses? So that was a very wise decision as part of our general plan some 20 years ago. And look what has produced us. So we need to be very thankful over the fact that we have that financial base. That alone won't do it. As I said earlier, we must generate additional sales tax revenue from commercial businesses in the community, those businesses that are healthy, viable, and fit in with the general scheme of things that we would like, and certainly we would appreciate and take a lot of pride in, because we do have to have a continuing steady flow of income in the out years in order to be able to pay for many of the maintenance costs that are associated with the capital projects that we've undertaken. And so we will be working very closely with the business community to make sure that that happens, and that just makes good business sense. City funds are also expended not only for capital improvements, but to assist many of the citizens and special groups meeting a variety of social and community needs. Those of you that have had the opportunity to come down and visit us on Tuesday night or watch some of the requests that we receive under our public concerns or when we have our finance committee reports, realize that we've done everything we possibly could do to help special groups in the community, youth groups and senior groups and other cultural and philanthropic groups with funds to support very worthy causes. And each year we allocate approximately $250,000 for 15 or more public service organizations to enjoy some of the benefits of your tax dollars going back and providing things that will help the community become a greater community in terms of a broad base and segment of cultural, social, and philanthropic needs. The city is also spending approximately $75,000 that we will allocate to various civic organizations to administer for the homeless. We have received many letters, and I'm sure the council members have received personal contacts and phone calls on what is Thousand Oaks doing for the homeless. Why don't you build facilities to house the homeless? Why don't you do this and why don't you do that? Well, we recognize the homeless situation. We're not certainly uninformed about the situation at all. But what we have to do is make conscious and wise decisions as to how we can assist that so that we don't get ourselves in a position like some of the other cities in the greater Los Angeles areas have gotten themselves in and they can't get out of. But we recognize that there is an obligation and a need. So we're channeling money into the various social organizations that can best put the money where they think it can be more wisely and prudently expended and distributed. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And it certainly won't satisfy everybody, but then we never will satisfy everybody. But what we try to do is the best we can in the best interest of the way in which we expend your tax dollars. We cannot deal only with facilities or services or finances for the most part when we are dealing with our citizens in our community. And the heart of our community with some of the things that they become involved in is also very, very dear and important to us. Our quality of life in Thousand Oaks is a very enviable one. We live in a very complex and competitive environment, which often puts our equilibrium and our coping skills to the test. It seems that it would be very unrealistic to pretend that we don't have some social problems and that we don't have some economic problems that threaten our community as they do much in the larger community. But what we are doing is addressing these things and taking them at a segment at a time, and we work toward what we say in the industry as continuous process improvement. I had to use those terms in order to satisfy my bosses for being here today. Okay. We're in Connie was clapping back there. We're in a mode now where we're talking nationwide total quality management. That means everybody is accountable and responsible for some segment of their lifestyle, their working commitments, and the like, and not pushing all the responsibilities down to the person at the bottom end of the rung on the ladder. That doesn't solve problems. You have to start with the top, and everybody has to be fully committed to do the best that he's committed to do in the role he plays in life. And that's it in a nutshell. So I say that we are in a continuous process improvement mode in the city. There again, it's an educational, cultural enrichment that has to be made to a lot of people, because people expect instant results for almost anything. And that is virtually impossible, totally impractical, and we all realize that when we get right down to it. The city also has a multiple occupancy problem of single homes and an increase in crime and vandalism and domestic violence and undulation of natural social change and mundane facts of life that are going to face us as we face many of the problems of urbanization. And I think one of our biggest challenges today and in the out years for all the public officials and the citizens as a whole is to be able to really face these problems very objectively and very intelligently and without too much emotion, because we did not build this city on the basis of emotion. There were many, many scary things that took place during our formative years. Rapid growth, building timber everywhere. Everybody was terribly upset. Everywhere we turn, you hear from people, we have heard from people. I see wood frames going around. I'm being engulfed. We've lost control. But we didn't really, and the people didn't agree with us totally back in 1980, and of course we ended up with a growth control ordinance, which has worked out just about like we thought it would, and Alex and I have talked about this over the years. If you let the natural process take place as it should, the economics will determine whether or not you are out of control or in control. And many people didn't agree with this, so we ended up with a growth control ordinance, which has worked out fine. We haven't had to do an awful lot with it. Many of the developers have even come and said, well, it's worked out better than we thought. And so there's a case where many of us probably have been proven not exactly correct. That doesn't change our opinion, but the circumstance has worked out fine, and that's all that really counts. Has the process worked for the benefit of the people? And it has, so there you are. We have also, to our advantage this year, of having received a very favorable report from the grand jury. They reviewed the various programs and procedures in our city governments and in the various city governments and counties, and subsequently determined that no matters in Thousand Oaks need to be investigated. I think that's a tremendous endorsement of credibility to the city when the grand jury reports that there's really nothing that needs to be investigated at this time. That tells us that our system and our processes have been able to demonstrate to that body that we are in fact under reasonably good control, and the expectations out of that were such that they didn't need to do any further investigation. Now, that might not be the same next year because you have a different group and they'll focus in on certain things. But last year, then next year will be Fiore's problem. And he'll have to explain to you next year and why he got a gig or something. And I'll sit out in the audience and I'll say, Alex, you couldn't even be trusted for a year. So, but that's your worry, Alex, next year. So anyhow, there are other things that have been we've been given credit for. The city was the recipient of a letter from the Department of Housing and Urban Development lauding Thousand Oaks for its highly successful and innovative affordable housing programs and commending the community on its Human Services Center, and which was built with city assistance. And we also received kudos for its fair housing and anti-discrimination efforts. And that's very creditable because there are people that have pointed fingers and said, you're living in a lily clean, upper middle class Caucasian area, and so you can't be concerned about the problems. It's not true. It's not true at all. And I said, if that's the case, why would this upper middle class white urban community elect a black official for 15, 16 years? It doesn't make any sense. We're all here representing people as people and doing things that make sense. And that's the bottom line. If it doesn't make sense, we're not going to do it. If it makes sense, we'll go all the way and try to make it work. And that's our policy, and let's hope that it'll continue to be that way. We also received an International City Managers Association from the International Managers Association recognized the city's speed hump or sleeping policeman program within the R&B, annulling international war. I don't know how we got that, because we receive more complaints about speed humps and bumps and stop signs, and my specialty over the city over the last 15 years was stop signs, okay? I put them in one day, and next week I get a complaint, we want to take them out, okay? Speed humps, half the people want them, the other half hate them. And so we've reached a compromise, and I don't even know where the council stands on this at this point. I think every other week it probably changes, but we received an award because of the way in which we decided to go about it. And the award was probably given and selected on the basis of somebody watching a television show every other week or so. And depending upon how it came about, then of course they said those guys are really on there, because one group that was doing the voting said, yep, they're for it, and they missed the next week when we said we don't like it. And so anyhow, laying all jokes aside, we did receive that award, and that's quite nice. Every year in this decade so far, the city was honored by the American Automobile Association with a pedestrian protection award for exemplary safety programs that we've instituted, which is very creditable. And we deeply appreciate that and cherish that recognition on a continuous basis. We were honored for our Access Cable Television, Channel 10, for excellence by the League of California Cities to keep our citizens informed of all governmental matters. So that's quite highly commendable, and we like to really take credit for some of those things. We also have had many different committees that have been pace-setting groups in terms of their contributions to the various cultural things within the community. The Council on Aging proposed a weekend taxi service for senior and handicapped citizens, and worked with Camarillo Convalescent Hospital to prevent Medi-Cal patients from being evicted. And the Senior Citizens Service Directory, the Gold and Silver Day, highlighting the various area services for seniors is another kudo that we've earned. The Youth Commission distributed Operation Prom graduation materials, endorsing safe celebrating of commencement activities and the like, and established a youth awareness task force to help create a good dialogue amongst the youngsters that are coming along that may not be quite as sensitive to some of the hazards of our environment today when they participate in many of these activities. And the Arts Commission presented an amateur art photography show, and the Canale Substance Abuse Prevention Authority coordinated the Red Ribbon campaign to say no to drugs. So we have lots of things going for us. In addition to that, our citizens overall have been very busy too. Our Canale Valley Little League Senior Division All-Star Team won accolades as the first team to represent Southern and Central California in the Western Regional tournament at the first Canale Valley, and it was the first Canale Valley team to win the state divisional tournament. And the ideal California woman was discovered to be one who grew up in Canale Valley in the Westlake area, the lovely Christina Faust, who was crowned Miss California USA in 1989. And her mother sitting over there beaming, and Christina and John are over there. And I think anybody that's seen Christina, her pictures, her demeanor, her poise, her grace, her charm is just almost just unbelievable. And we're just terribly proud of Christina and her parents. My wife went down to Mobile, Alabama to see her participate in the Miss USA contest and all, and we were just so terribly proud that we had somebody down there that it was just interesting and certainly refreshing and enlightening to be able to go that far and say she is one of us, and we're happy to have her down there representing us. We're very proud of that fact, and we even received a key to the city of Mobile from their mayor down there, Mayor Outlaw. I was a very gracious host, and I didn't know whether or not to receive the key and be considered an outlaw, or thank him for it and say that we're too modest to accept this and we don't deserve it. But nonetheless, we took it in good faith, and he wrote us a very nice letter about our participation and Christina being down there representing us. 7 talented high school students from the Canale Valley were selected as members of the official Tournament of Roses honor band, and that's a significant achievement. More than 500 high school musicians were chosen for that event, and as well as Pasadena college students were among the competition. So as we go forward into the next decade, our course has already been pretty much marked. We've done lots of good things. We're not a perfect city. We don't declare ourselves to be a perfect city, but we do think we're a very good city, and we are continuing to make our city even better. This year, 9,000 individuals completed our latest community attitude survey, and they were very candid about what they felt that we should have in the future, and they were very candid about whether or not they were satisfied with the existing services. And the goals that were set in 1969 by the policymakers then, and our master plan and the like, seem to be moving right on target. And there are some variances that have occurred, but circumstances have caused us to make some changes along the way, and that's healthy. And so change is inevitable, as we all know, and change is healthy, and change is needed. But for the most part, we're moving right along and taking many of those things into consideration, and we'll make adjustments further as we need to. To my colleagues on the council, I, at this time, would like to express to Frank and Alex and Tony my deep appreciation for their devotion to the city and to the community and to the long hours that they've given to ensure that many of these things that we've put in place some years back are continually moving forward. And as a team, we've tried to listen to the citizens as much as we possibly can. We've tried to come up with good solutions. There are some that people aren't happy with. There are some that we aren't happy with. But we've tried to capitalize on new visions and to build on the heritage that we've established some years ago. And that's the bottom line as far as we're concerned. I think the community is fortunate to have such seasoned council veterans, and certainly I salute each and every one of you for that. And by the same token, the city is only as good as the business manager that runs the city. And our chief city executive officer, Mr. Grant Brimhall, has been with us now since '78 and has done an admirable job, a very commendable job, and I think that we are very, very fortunate in have an individual of his caliber to be at the helm and guiding us through in the administrative aspects of our city. And he has been a tremendous asset, and I think without Grant we wouldn't probably be halfway as far as we are now, because that is a full-time pressure cooking job that requires a lot of constant projections and trade-offs and risks before he presents his position to the City Council and has to justify it to us. And we aren't easily justifiable these days. And his recommendations are generally very sound and enough for us to move forward with them with a very high comfort level. And we appreciate Grant's service and all of his staff. And last but not least, I'd like to commend and appreciate and thank my wife and family that's here for being a political family over the last 15 years. Betty's unfailing presence and optimistic spirit, which has to be optimistic most of the time because these things are not very easy on family life. I've made my job in my year once again as mayor a very special one and a very rewarding one. So Betty, I'd like to thank you for your continued support as a wife and a deputy at times. I'd like to also recognize Connie Gilreath, Don Clay, and Overton Caperton, and Marion Perkins again of the Northrop Corporation that came to hear this summary today. And Northrop has been a very excellent company to work for, and recognizes the need for community involvement all the way from the CEO on down. Make it a policy for us to participate in community activities, and that's been the Northrop culture for nearly 50 years, and Northrop is celebrating their 50th year anniversary this year, and we thank them for that. Since we are coming to the close of our 25th year, and as a matter of fact it closed out last night, and I didn't even try to change the Halloween date like one of our former mayors did to be able to say this is the last day. We extended it over and let the dates stand as they should. We'd like to give Sharon Augie, who has finished her assignment with the 25th anniversary activities. And Sharon, would you please stand so people can recognize you? Sharon, you did just a yeoman's job, an outstanding job, and really appreciate all that you've done. That really put in an awful lot of hours over the last few months to try to pull all these things together. Yes, people, the years have been very kind to us. The rewards have been satisfying. But I put a little note here, and I capitalized all the letters, and I said "hark" in quotations. The long and far-reaching tentacles of urbanization has touched us. Somewhat gently, but nonetheless, we've been touched. We've grown up, and the challenge ahead of us is somewhat mysterious to some, exciting to others, intriguing to another group, and to many still a bit, to many others, a bit frightening, because they're not certain as to really where we're going or how we're going to get there or what's in store for them over the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and the like. But I can assure you that based on our successes and the healthy progress that we've made over the past 25 years, that I believe without a doubt that our foundation is firm, our vision is sufficiently clear, and our goals are realistic and attainable. And we are blessed with rich talent in this community to carry on. So now it's time for each of us and our successors to continue on with an already chartered, steady course, one that has been proved by the citizens and public officials, both past and present, and to ensure that the quality of life that we so deeply cherish is maintained. Is that not the intent of the forebears of this community? 25 years ago? I think it is. Again, it's been an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to serve you as mayor for the 4th time in nearly 16 years in this great city, in this great state, in a great nation. Happy birthday, 25, to all of us, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry, for those kind words. Thank you all for coming. Before we leave, we would like to recognize officially the First Lady of the City of Thousand Oaks, and that's Betty Horner, and we would like for you to have these flowers, which were donated by Flowers For and Gifts To. Betty, thank you. Thank you very much. Many of us who go to these things know how many hours that Betty has spent. Many, many hours. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate all of you being here. Have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful rest of the week.